Rockefeller Republicans, or you just don't find them.
Oh, he said, Michelle, he said Marco isn't a natural born citizen. I don't know how the.
I don't know how that's possible. Of course he is. He was born here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. She's typing. All right, we got another call here. Let's see what we got here. We've got. Oh, I know who we got here. Good evening. How are you today?
Hello, Mr. Felix. How are you?
I am fine. Just hold on. I'm reading something from one of our callers.
It's Monsignor Chad.
Hello, my friend Marc.
How you doing, Chad?
I got Marc and Felix.
Where are she say, where are the
How is your
Kennedy Democrats?
What was that?
She say, where are the Kennedy Democrats?
Where's all the Trump supporters?
I guess they're out there. They don't want to. They're afraid to call us. They're afraid of what we might
she
say.
say, where are the Kennedy Democrats?
Hey, look, fella. It's not like we have much choice.
Yeah, let me see.
Well, it's going to be it depends how conservative you are. And even for Republicans, they don't even consider Trump to be that conservative. So, it's almost like...
Okay. She's saying something. Well, 1 second there, Chad. She's saying something. There are three legs to become a natural-born citizen. Born on a U.S. soil, father is a U.S. citizen, and mother is a U.S. citizen. I never heard of that before.
Wait,
no, I did, because...
Yeah.
About what you need to be a nationalized citizen. Well, yeah. McCain's father was serving in the Panama Canal, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was considered part of America. So then his parents are both Americans. So.
Yeah, no, just saying. But she's talking about
now, Rubio was born here. That's the difference.
Yes, but she's saying they have to be born. But she's saying they have to be born of U.S. citizens, which I never heard of.
No, because that's not true. Because my parents were born here, but their parents were born in Russia. So the bottom line is, as long as you are born here, this is the whole argument of the Republican Party when they talk about anchor babies and Mexico. Okay, the supposed undocumented workers, the fact that the parents are undocumented, but the children are born here. The children are citizens. So Marco's a citizen. She's incorrect as far as that goes. Yes, Chad. How was your trip down memory lane? I meant to ask you. Did you like my little question?
Oh yes, thank you. Yeah, I don't go on Facebook very often, but I do get email notifications when somebody Facebooks you, it goes into your email. So I was going to tell you privately or in person, such as now. Thank you. Yep, I did enjoy myself, and I took my wife to a little burger joint called Don's Originals. It's in Rochester, and it's really good. I don't know if you guys have meat hot sauce where you are, but boy, oh boy, it's popular here.
I am. My wife hates it, but as far as she wonders if I have any taste buds left. She said, I don't know how you can taste food, because she said you make things so hot and spicy, which is true. And
well, this kind of hot sauce has kind of got a mild spice to it. It's not too spicy, but everybody does it.
See,
and if you got a burger and hot dog joint, you usually have meat hot sauce, and everybody does it a little differently. Pretty good.
To each his own. But I must say, it was pretty isolated, right off Lake Ontario. Was it?
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
When did you go here?
What?
When were you at by Lake Ontario?
No, when you put your comment up, it showed a picture of where it was, and they showed Lake Ontario.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's right down by Seabreeze. Seabreeze is one of the oldest parks in the country.
Very nice country, yeah.
And still an amusement park. It used to be an ice cream pool, public pool, but then they tore it down years ago in the early 1900s, and then eventually became an amusement park. And then there's a little you can go down past the amusement park, and there's little restaurants there, and it's right on Lake Ontario. It's beautiful. You could take a walk in the bay, by the bay, and on the Lake Ontario pier, and enjoy an Abbott's ice cream, and it's really just a nice time, especially in the summertime. It's very popular.
Well, I think I must say, Chad, it's rather romantic, to go back to the place where you went, on your first date,
That's right. We did. We didn't go to our first date, although I got to tell you. So I'll tell you guys a quick story. Here's this guy. I asked him, I said, I want a cheeseburger with everything on it except for relish. So what do you think he went over and did?
He put relish on?
Yeah, so he puts relish on it. So I saw him, he kind of flips his head back, like, I put relish on it. So I saw him go around to the grill, dump all this stuff off, put the burger patty back on the grill, walks back over. 2 seconds later, I kid you not, he dumps more relish on it.
Oh, God.
I'm like, this guy's having a bad day. So he scraped it off and then put the stuff on it, and I had this soggy bread sandwich with crispy onion rings, and it was pretty good. Well, so I didn't mind it too much.
Hey. Well, you're not going to give him any kind of a big tip, man,
I'll tell you, it was a good time, though. Enjoyed the food, enjoyed my wife, and we had a nice time.
Well, you know what it is? Aside from it's just, like I say, the fact that it's highly romantic, and even if the food was terrible, all right, you and your wife have certain memories of what was those many years ago, okay, when you were about 17, 18 years old. And I think the fact that you were childhood sweethearts has a lot to do with it also, Yeah. And, I mean, they could have served you what SOS. In the Army, they called it SOS, which is, the polite term is chipped beef on toast. But if you ask anybody who was in the service, you'll pardon my language, it was shit on a shingle. That's what they called it. Okay?
Nice.
And, because sometimes, when I belong to the baby boomer generation on Facebook, and when they talk about certain things, and one of the things that they happen to talk about was, ask your fathers about SOS in the service. And I remember my dad telling me, I didn't even have to ask him. He's, because he would tell me all the stuff that they had, and, I just, as another related story to that, my father's parents always had a kosher home. The first time my father tasted ham was when he was in the Army, okay? And they had a ham steak with, mashed potatoes, gravy, whatever. My father said he said it was so delicious.
He didn't tell his parents that, though, I bet.
Actually, I don't know if he did or not, but it's one of those things, you had it out of the house, so it's okay. But they didn't really understand much English. They used to speak a lot of Yiddish. And I used to love that, because I would go to their house, and my grandfather would talk in broken English if he could, and half his words were Yiddish and half his words were English. And that was one of the reasons I took German in high school, because I wanted to be able to understand at least part of his conversation, and I really enjoyed it. But getting back to the original purpose of why I'm saying all this, my father said the ham was delicious. It's like one of those things where you say, I didn't know what I was missing all these years.
The rest is history.
That's exactly right.
Unclean meat.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah. So what's going on, guys? What's new and exciting in the spirit world here? Are we discussing anything interesting?
Well, I happened to mention something earlier. I've been watching, I don't know if you can get it where you are. I mean, I know that you enjoy religion, so you probably would enjoy listening to it. It's the Jewish Broadcasting System has a program on, and it's repeated, so if you miss it, you can see it again. It's called Jewish 101, where they get to explain the Taalmud, and they have the midrash they use. They discuss it in reference to the Midrash, which is the rabbinic interpretation of the Old Testament, stories in the Old Testament. And it's really, really very interesting. Interesting for me because, number one, I always used to love Sunday school, which was primarily Jewish history. And, I mean, I really enjoy history. And I think you might enjoy it, too. I'm not sure if you could find it, okay, but it's called Jewish... It's called Jewish 101.
Yeah, but the thing is, Mark, I think we discussed this last time, is I forgot what it was, but I severely disagreed with it, where the same program would disagree on some serious doctrinal issues. I mean, for instance, if these are Orthodox, if this is Orthodox Judaism, for instance, they probably wouldn't recognize Jesus as Yeshua HaMashiach. I would imagine that, for the listening audience, Jesus the Messiah, I think they probably deny the New Testament scriptures as scripture at all. These are Old Testament. See,
well, I'll tell you, the question has not come up. Number one, and number two, it's not looking to convert anybody. They always preface the show by saying that.
Yes, but interpretation matters. Okay, so context is king. So, for instance, in Isaiah 53, okay, if you got a Bible there, go to Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53 is known as the Old Testament Gospel, and the reason why is because in that little set of passages, it describes Jesus being crucified for our transgressions. Now, there's not a single person in there in history that has done that for us. There's a lot of people who have been copycats, but don't come close to the 300 plus prophecies that Jesus has fulfilled in the Old Testament. So, what people do, Mark, is they like to separate the Old Testament from the New Testament, and they say, well, look, the Old Testament is its own set of books, it's its own set of deal, it has nothing at all to do with Christianity, which is so far from the truth. Listen, the Old Testament is the foretelling of the New Testament. So I want you to make that as a mental note. The Old Testament is the foretelling of the New Testament, the New Covenant.
I understand all that.
Well, you might understand that, but I'm saying the people, and I'm not blaming you, Mark. I think that you're just following what makes you feel good, okay? But I'm just trying to tell you and warning you that you need to be careful with this, because the deal is somebody can make it awfully sound nice, but could be devastatingly wrong only by one little point, and that point is if they don't intertwine the gospel of Christ in the Old Testament, then they miss the entire Old Testament.
Well, I mean, even on the same network, the Jewish broadcasting system, or one of the other networks, I'm not sure. They have, I forgot what they call them, the Jews for Jesus. Okay, and the guy comes out with a yarmulke and a tallis. Okay, and he's talking about Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay, but I just thought that you might be interested, simply because look, it's not looking to change your idea at all. You believe what you believe, like you say to me. But I just thought you might find it interesting, just listening, to one show. I mean,
Yeah, I'm pretty. No, I appreciate that, Mark. I really do, because I think that you're sincere about how I might feel about that. But the truth is that and this is just me, I am very, very anal, I guess, when it comes to listening to anything that I'm not only familiar with, but that I know could be an error. For instance, somebody just recommended a preacher, but I know that his style of preaching isn't something that I think is 100% biblical. So I stayed away from it, and I